Hi everyone, welcome. My name's Alex Nashton and this is my beautiful demonstrating assistant, Chris. He's also the technological genius behind all of these live streamed videos. So we're super excited to announce today that we've partnered with BODHI Yoga. So please subscribe to their YouTube channel for updates and a full library of all of the classes that you might have missed with a bunch of our other teachers. Today you're gonna need 2 pillows, a blanket, and maybe even 2 blocks if you have them at home. If you don't have blocks at home, you can use whatever you've got handy. Old shoe boxes typically work, as well as old DVD sets if you've got those nearby. Now, what I want to talk to you guys today is going to pertain very specifically to the current COVID-19 pandemic that we're in right now as we live stream this content for you. But also know that if you're catching the replay, this is going to be still extremely useful information in any situation of your life that's very, very stressful. Right now, what we're seeing as a lot of people get sick and there's a lot of fear that's stirred up in the news is people sitting at home in isolation, which is a necessity for the physical health of our society, but it's also very detrimental to our mental health. And so what we're finding right now in our isolation, in our homes, is a lot of people gravitating towards different numbing mechanisms. And that doesn't necessarily mean substances or alcohol, but even just scrolling mindlessly through Instagram, going to the fridge for a snack again and again and again as a way to not feel the anxiety and stress that we are experiencing. And so one of the reasons why we come to the yoga mat, why we come to the meditation cushion, why we move through practices just like this and contort ourselves into all these weird shapes and poses is so that we have an opportunity to intentionally be in discomfort and recognize what our reaction pattern is to that. So as we move through today's practice, you might notice this impulse arise to fidget, to wiggle, to get out of it. You might feel yourself getting irritated or angry or even a little bored or restless. And all of that is very normal. But just know that as we move through this practice, you have an opportunity in every single shape, in every single pose, to take a step back and to witness how you're showing up, to acknowledge the impulse to numb in whatever way that might be and reaffirm your commitment over and over again to be present, to be here, and be still. And you'll notice that the longer you can stay in that non-judgmental observation, the more those impulses start to kind of dissipate and melt away, the less frequently you'll experience them. So we're going to start with just a little bit of pranayama, a little bit of breath work today, and then we'll move into a little meditation and then the movement portion of our practice. So you'll come to sit any way that feels good for you. I usually recommend sitting with the hips a little bit higher than the level of the knees. So if that means elevating your seat up onto a block or up onto a pillow, you can do that now. You can cross your ankles in front of you, or if you want to sit in supported virasana, kneeling with a block between your ankles, you're more than welcome to take that seat as well. And then you're going to lift your arms up into a big V shape, and you'll curl your fingertips in towards the palms of your hands. So the palms of the hands will still stay open. Your thumbs will be plugged up to the sky, but just the fingertips curl in towards the knuckles. And we're going to move through Kapalabhati. We're going to move through breath of fire. So if you're pregnant or if you've recently had any abdominal surgery, you're not going to want to do this. You're going to want to hold off on this one. But you'll close your eyes, take a deep breath in, a long breath out. You'll take 2 more breaths just like that. And know that as we begin Kapalabhati, as we begin breath of fire, it's an active exhale, a passive inhale that comes from you just snapping your belly button back towards your spine. So next time you take a deep breath in, you'll pause. You'll exhale completely. You inhale just halfway. And then you'll begin. And it'll look and sound like this, like what Chris and I are doing here. So it's an active out, 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 out. The inhale comes on its own. The inhale comes naturally, but you're pulling your belly button back towards your spine to force the movement of breath up and out, up and out, up and out. Stay with it. We'll stay just a little bit longer, go a little bit faster than you think you need to. For 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take a deep breath in, hook your thumbs overhead, reach your other 8 fingers straight up to the sky. Take your chin in ever so slightly towards your chest and then pause there with your breath full. Your pelvic floor is going to pull in and up like you're trying not to pee your pants. Your belly button pulls in and up. Your chin comes in even closer to your throat. You lift up through the back of your skull. Let all of your awareness move up to the crown of your head. And then like you were popping champagne, you exhale and let it go. You let your arms come down. The palms of your hands face up on your thighs. Your eyes are closed. You give yourself a moment in stillness and in quiet just to be in observation of what's shifted. You might notice a slightly different capacity in your lungs. Your heart might be beating a little bit faster. That is a heat building technique, so you might even notice a little bit of perspiration bead up on the skin. You might start to break a sweat. But as you rest in the wake of that experience, you notice what most immediately becomes available for you to look at. The most prominent emotion, the most prominent mental experience that arises. Where are your thoughts? Where is your attention? And are you thinking about other things to avoid the uncomfortability of this moment? Are you thinking about dinner? Are you thinking about what you're going to eat for breakfast tomorrow morning? And can you acknowledge where your mind has gone? And with each acknowledgement, you rein your awareness back in again. You come back to that place of non-judgmental observation, noticing all of the intricacies of your body and of your own aliveness at this particular moment in time. You feel the movement of your breath in and out, the change in your heart rate. Your body's heat. The thoughts in your head. You'll hold your awareness there for just a few moments in quiet. Gently release your chin down to your chest. Let the back of your neck lengthen. Begin to blink your eyes open. Take in a point on the floor in front of you. And slowly let your gaze lift up to meet the room. If you were seated on a block or on a pillow, you can gently slide that out of your way. And then you'll crawl yourself over onto all fours, onto hands and knees. And so your wrists are going to be underneath your shoulders, your knees will be under your hips, but you'll flip your wrists around to face the top of your yoga mat. So the thumb side of your hand will revolve out towards the two side edges of the mat. The pinky sides will revolve in towards each other. From there, you'll knit your bottom two ribs in towards each other so you keep just as much space across the front of the rib cage as you maintain in the back. You'll put the tiniest little micro bend in your elbows so your elbows bend back towards your thighs, and then just start to very gently circle the weight of your body over your wrists. You move a few times in one direction and then you switch. You go a few times the other way. And then you'll find your way back into stillness. You find your way back to center. As you inhale, you'll tuck your toes under. Breathe in, lift your heart, lift your tailbone, lift your gaze, and arch your back body. As you exhale, you'll press the tops of your feet down, all 10 toenails down, curl your chin into your chest, and round your spine. And we'll do that a few more times. So as you breathe in, you'll tuck your toes under, you lift your heart, you lift your tailbone and arch. You exhale to press the tops of the feet down and round. And so I know this might be intense for some of you, especially if you've been spending all day on a computer or on your phone texting. And so if having the wrist flipped all the way around is just too much for your hands, too much for your forearms, you can take the wrist out to about 90 degrees. So your fingertips are facing the two respective sides of the mat. We'll stay with this movement just a little bit longer. Next time you breathe in, you'll find a neutral spine. You'll find a flat back. And then you'll slowly circle out one wrist at a time, bringing the palm of each hand back to normal. And from there, you'll take your knees out a little bit wider. The big toes come all the way into touch, and you draw your hips back towards your heels for a child's pose. You can walk your hands out in front of you. So the arms lengthen out. Tops of your feet come down, so all 10 toenails are on the ground. And it's okay if your hips don't make their way all the way back to the heels. That's totally fine. That's just the direction that they're generally going in. You want to be sure here that your forehead is resting on something, whether that's the ground or whether that's a block. And then give the weight of your upper body permission to just soften down, to release to gravity. So you let the weight of your elbows be heavy. You let the weight of your hands be heavy. You sense one shoulder blade kind of just unfolding to the right, the other shoulder blade unfolding to the left. And that gives you space for the upper body. You'll notice once again where your attention immediately tries to go. And ask yourself, is this useful? Is letting my mind wander in this direction actually useful? And if not, can you acknowledge where you've gone? And again, bring your awareness back to that place of non-judgmental observation, not just of your thoughts, but of all of the realities of your body in this particular moment in time. So you might sense here a deepening in the creases of the hips. You might feel quite a bit of sensation there. You also might feel a little bit of stretching, of expansion in the lowest part of your back, and that's normal too. If anything in this practice does start to manifest as pain, particularly one that's sharp and shooting, you're going to want to take a break from the pose that we're doing. That's never going to be welcomed here. If you feel yourself in pain, please stop. Please take a break. Otherwise, you'll stay in the shape that we're in. And note that discomfort is very much normal. So if you're feeling a tightness, if you're feeling a stretching, if you're feeling something that's a little more on the spectrum of discomfort rather than sharp shooting pain, that's okay. That's a safe place to be in, and you're going to want to stay. You'll slowly begin to crawl yourself back up onto all fours. And this time, once your wrists are underneath your shoulders again, you'll bring the backs of your hands to the ground, so the palms of the hands face up. You spin the creases of your elbows to face the front of your mat as much as you can. And then palms of your hands stretch wide apart. You try to find the tiniest little micro bend in your elbow. So just like we did in that last shape, you'll do your best to bend the right elbow back towards the right thigh. Inhale, stretch your fingers out even wider apart. And then keeping the back of the right hand on the ground, you'll try to curl your fingers into a fist. Inhale, you stretch the fingers of the right hand out wide. You exhale, try to curl them into a fist, keeping the back of your hand on the ground. And then you'll do that 3 more times. And note that tenderness, that sensitivity here in the right wrist is very normal. But once you finish that last round, once you finish that 5th round, you'll pause. You'll lift up your right hand and begin to circle out the right wrist. Let the palm of the right hand come back down, and then we switch sides. So back of the left hand finds the ground now. You keep the back of the left hand in contact with the ground, and then work to spin the crease of your left elbow to face forward. Can you put the tiniest little micro bend in that left elbow? And then inhale, stretch the fingers of your left hand out wide. You exhale to try to curl the left fingers into a fist. So back of the left hand stays on the ground. You stretch your fingers out wide. Exhale, can you curl into a fist again? You inhale to stretch out wide. Exhale, make a fist. 2 more. Last one. Okay, go ahead and lift your left hand up, circle out your left wrist a few times, and then palm of the left hand comes back to normal. Now you're going to tuck your right toes under, stretch your right leg back behind you. So the right leg is straight, your toes are tucked. You'll drop your right heel down to the ground so your toes are facing the right side of the mat. And then take the top of your left foot over to the left like a little kickstand. The left palm will stay where it is. You'll inhale and reach your right fingertips up overhead so your right arm is framing your face. Beautiful. And so as you do, you'll make sure that you're really anchoring down through the pinky toe side of the right foot, that you're working to lift up through the inner right arch. The right thigh stays engaged. You lift up even higher through the right side lung, through the right side ribs, and find a little more external rotation in the right arm, which means that your tricep is revolving in towards your ear. The thumb side of your hand is spinning up towards the sky. The pinky side is revolving down, like you were trying to shake someone's hand out in front of you. Take another breath in here, lift up even higher through the right side lung and ribs, and then exhale, palm of your right hand comes back down. Your right knee comes back to the floor, and then we switch sides. So ball of the left foot extends way back behind you. The toes are tucked under. You'll take your right foot out to the right just a little bit more as a kickstand. Drop your left heel down so your toes are facing the left side of the mat. And then inhale, reach your left fingertips up overhead. So the left arm is framing the ear. Beautiful. And so now on this side, the pinky toe side of the left foot is really anchoring down. You work to lift up through the inner arch of the left foot. You lift up through the inner left ankle. Your thigh stays engaged. And now make sure that you're not booty popping here. So in other words, your tailbone lengthens down towards your left heel, towards your extended leg. Your pubic bone in your front body pulls forward and up. Your belly button pulls in and up. You lift up a little bit higher through the left side lung, a little bit higher through the left side ribs, and then you work to find that external rotation in the left arm. So the thumb side revolves up, the pinky side revolves down. Take a breath in, lift up a little bit higher through your left side body. And then you exhale to release the palm of the left hand down. Your left knee finds the ground. You'll tuck your toes under, walk your hands a little further out in front of you, and then push your hips up and back into a downward facing dog. And so for just a moment in this down dog, you'll work to reach your heels down, lengthening out through the backs of the legs. And as the heels reach down, you'll try to lift all 10 toes up off of the ground. So the heels plug down and you work to lift all 10 toes up. And so as the toes lift up, you'll balance the weight of your body evenly between the big toe mound and pinky toe mound of each foot. Can you work to continue reaching your heels down as the inner arches lift, and notice how that also lifts through your inner ankles, how that lifts through your inner thighs. Maintain all of that integrity, all of that lifting your legs and in the inner arches of your feet, but let your 10 toes relax down to the floor. Beautiful. And then you'll take a slow walk with your feet up to meet your hands. So coming to stand in a fold at the top of the mat. Let your head and neck relax down. Let your arms be heavy. And for a moment, find just a little more bend in your knees. Maybe even so much of a bend that you connect the lowest part of your belly to your thighs. And now with that connection between belly and thighs, try to lift your sitting bones up higher towards the sky. So belly and thighs stay connected, but you work to lift your butt up a little bit higher. Like you could move in 2 different directions at once. The front body moves in closer and closer, compressing tighter. The back body works to lift up, to extend and stretch itself longer, which might mean that the backs of your legs start shaking a little bit. And that's also very normal here. Try to stay with that opposition just a little bit longer so the front body's connected. The back body is lengthening out. Take another breath in here. And then exhale, bend your knees even more. Let your arms relax down. 1 vertebra at a time, you'll round yourself all the way up to stand. And once you're upright, once you're standing, you'll bring the big toe mounds of your feet into touch so your heels are just a tiny bit wider apart. Think about using the soles of your feet to tear the mat in half beneath you, and also work to find balance between the front and back planes of the body. So your pubic bone, your belly button, your sternum all lift up as you lengthen your tailbone down. With that activation, you'll reach your arms up, you hook your thumbs overhead. As you inhale, you pull yourself longer. And then as you exhale, you'll lean up and over to the left, lengthening out your entire right side body. Beautiful. So as you lean up and over to the left, you'll put a little more weight into the sole of your right foot. You shift your right hip over to the right just a tiny bit more and feel yourself being stretched in these opposite directions. So as the right hip slides over to the right, the left side lung, the left side ribs slide over to the left. And rather than just collapsing down into the left side waist, it's like you could lift up and over, like you could create a big arc shape with your body. We'll take just a few more breaths here. Each inhale stretches you a little bit longer. Each exhale leans you up and over to the left just a little bit more. You take another breath in here and another breath out. Inhale, bring yourself back to center. Switch the hook of your thumb so other thumb is in front, and then you exhale to lean up and over to the right. As you lean to the right, you press down a little bit harder through the sole of your left foot. You think about sliding your left hip over to the left as the right ribs lift up and over to the right. And so you're pulling yourself apart. You're pulling yourself in opposite directions. With each breath in, you think about finding a little extra lift in the front body. With each breath out, you lean up and over to the right just a tiny bit more. Take 2 more breaths here. An inhale and an exhale. Another breath in. Another breath out. You breathe in to pull yourself back to center. You'll exhale and dive all the way forward and down so the backs of your legs lengthen, your upper body relaxes. Once again, you put that bend into your knees, connecting your belly to your thighs. From the connection of your belly and your thighs, try to hold on to the backs of your legs this time. So you grab onto the backs of the calves. With the connection of belly and thighs, from there you work to lift the sitting bones up to the sky. You work to lengthen out the backs of the legs while keeping the connection of front body. Breathe. Slowly release your grip of your legs and begin to widen your stance just a little bit. So you walk your feet over to their own respective sides of the mat. You'll turn your right toes ever so slightly to the right, your left toes ever so slightly to the left, and then can you think about revolving your knees in the same direction as your toes? You'll put a bend into both of your knees and slowly begin to lower your hips down for Malasana, for a squat pose. So you can bring your elbows to your inner thighs if you'd like to. The palms of your hands come to touch. If it just ain't happening today, you can stay a little bit higher up, rest your elbows on top of your thighs, palms of your hands still come together, you're here. We are gonna hold this pose for a little while, so make sure it's in a position that's sustainable for you. If you're finding that your heels are kind of lifting up off of the ground in your squat, you're gonna wanna either roll up a blanket and slide that underneath your heels, or optionally you grab a block and slide the block underneath your sitting bones. From here, you have some options. The palms of your hands can stay where they are, or you can work to release the back of your neck by bringing your forehead into the palms of your hands, almost like you create a little cradle for your face. Whatever position you happen to land in here, make sure that you're putting a little more weight on the pinky toe sides of your feet and that you're lifting up through the inner arches. You bring more awareness, more attention into the back body, and notice what sensation specifically you feel there. You notice the sensation in the creases of your hips. You notice the sensations you feel around your spine. You make sure that you're still breathing, that your awareness is still coming back to your body at this particular moment in time. So if you're checking out, if you're disengaging, if you're thinking about other things, can you reaffirm your commitment to come back in again? We'll take a few more breaths in here. A few more breaths out. You take another inhale, another exhale. Slowly release your hands down. They can come to the ground in front of you, but you can also take one hand in front and then one hand back behind, and you'll slowly sit yourself back. Great job, Chris. And then you'll turn yourself so you're the long way on your mat. so you have lots of space. And we're going to bring your right heel in towards your groin and then extend your left leg out to the left. And for today, know that you don't have to keep that left thigh engaged. You don't have to keep your left foot flexed. It's okay if the left foot kind of flops over to the left side of the mat. But you do want to be sure that before we even get started here, that you're not rounding into the lowest part of your back. So if we're getting started and you're already finding yourself way back here on your sitting bones, that your tailbone is already super far tucked under, you might want to elevate your seat up onto a bolster or onto a pillow or a blanket if you have those nearby. You'll take your left fingertips to the outside of your left leg, to the outside of your left thigh. Breathe in and reach your right fingertips up to the sky. Then work to press your pubic bone down so you find a little extra tilt in your pelvis forward. You slowly walk your left fingertips over to the left and begin to lengthen out the right side waist. And now you have some options here. If you want to stay with your arms as they are, you can keep them there. Otherwise, you have the option to make the pose a little more restorative by bringing a block, by bringing a few pillows to the outside of your left leg. And then you can rest your left elbow on top of that block. Take your left hand to the back of your head. You might even bring your right hand back there as well and interlace your fingers, almost like you're creating a little hammock for your head. Rather than letting your chest collapse down here, you'll work to revolve everything up. And so the right side lung, the right side ribs all unfold up towards the sky. It's almost like you could revolve left side lung, left side ribs forward towards the side of your mat. And so as you're leaning up and over to the left, you make sure that your right hip stays grounded down, that your right sitting bone is plugged into the floor beside you. Take a breath in here. A breath out. Another inhale. Another exhale. Breathe in and slowly start to peel yourself up to sit again. And this time, you'll keep your legs as they are, but you'll take a very gentle twist in your upper body. So you turn your chest to face your left leg, almost like you could center the chest over the left toes. Keeping the length in your spine, you'll begin to walk yourself forward. When you get to that point where you feel like the length in your spine is about to be compromised, you'll make sure that you have your block, you'll make sure that you have your pillow somewhere nearby. You'll put it in front of you and slowly let your upper body round and relax down. So you're using the support of your block, you're using the support of your pillows for the forehead. Because we know that when the forehead, when the upper body is supported by something, it gives us the opportunity to relax into it a little bit more. It gives the tension in the upper body, in the neck, in the shoulders, in the jaw, the opportunity to really let go. So make sure you're supported. Make sure that you've got something underneath you. And then give your back body permission to round here. So know that you don't have to keep anything engaged anymore. You don't have to keep your foot flexed or your thigh active. You don't have to fight your fight to keep the length in the spine. Instead, you focus on letting every single little vertebra in your back round. You make sure that you're breathing. And you notice if there's any particular way that you are trying to avoid the uncomfortability of the shape. How are you trying to numb yourself here? Is there any place mentally that you're going to avoid the discomfort of being in the present moment? And if the answer is yes, if you are checking out, can you check back in again? That's what makes this a practice and not something that we're ever going to be fully complete with, is that we have to keep choosing over and over and over again to come back to the present moment. The nature of the mind is movement, is deviation. We're going to go to other places. But can you choose again and again and again to come back to the container of this moment right now? You'll take a bigger breath in here. A longer breath out. A bigger breath in. A longer breath out. Press down through the palms of your hands and slowly start to peel yourself back up. Once you're upright, you'll set your block, you'll set your pillow over to the other side. You'll take your left heel in towards your groin, and then right leg extends out to the right. And note once again, you don't have to keep everything active. You can let your right toes relax out to the right. You can let your right knee relax out to the right. You'll take right fingertips outside of the right leg. Breathe in and extend your left fingertips up. And then once they're upright, once you're lifted, you work to press pubic bone down. You work to send your sitting bones back behind you. Slowly breathe out, walk yourself up and over to the right. So you extend through the left side lung, you extend through the left side waist. Can you work to press your left sitting bone down into the ground? So rather than letting your left butt cheek lift up off of the floor, you keep it anchored down. And then if you want to make it a little more restorative, just like Chris is, you use that block that's outside of your right leg, almost as a little kickstand for your right elbow. The right hand comes to the back of the skull, and then maybe the left fingertips do as well. You use the interlace of your hands to support the back of your head. And almost like you could lean back into your hands, you use that to lift up and out of the right shoulder, to revolve your left side lung up higher towards the sky, to revolve your left side ribs up, to revolve your chest up too. We'll take a few more breaths here. Make sure your right toes stay relaxed. So you'll slowly start to bring yourself back up. You'll find a really gentle twist here, so it's almost like you could square your upper body over your right leg. And then making sure that you still have that block or those pillows nearby, you'll begin to walk yourself over in the direction of the right leg, keeping the length in your spine for as long as you can. When you can't maintain the length anymore, you let everything in your upper body relax down. You let your head get heavy, and you use the support of your block, use the support of your pillows underneath you to make sure that your upper body can fully relax. And as soon as you've landed, as soon as you've really arrived in the shape and arrived in the pose, you notice where your attention is. Are you thinking about other things? Is there something very real and very present that you can ground your awareness to right now? Can you bring it back to the movement of your breath in, to the movement of your breath out? Can you come back to your heartbeat? With each choice to come back again and again to the present moment, you're making a very real impact on the neural trajectory, the neural pathways of your brain. Every time you choose presence, every time you choose focus, you're deepening a pathway of focused attention, of presence. And you're also pruning apart neural pathways of unfocus, of distraction, of escapism and disassociation. So you choosing each time to come back to your breath, to come back to your heartbeat, is laying down the foundation for a very real, very long-term ripple effect through your brain and through your entire nervous system. So can you be patient with yourself here? And can you also be disciplined and continue to make the choice over and over and over again to come back? You'll begin to deepen your breath. Let the palms of your hands find the ground beside you and slowly start to peel yourself back up. Once you're upright, we'll slide the left leg out to the left side. So now both legs are extended in a little bit more of a V shape. You'll make sure that you have your blocks, that you have your blankets, that you have your pillows nearby. And one more time, if you are finding that rounding in your lower back again, if you're already way back on your tailbone, way back on your sitting bones, then please elevate your seat up onto a bolster or onto a blanket or a pillow. From here, you're gonna keep the legs relaxed. You'll make sure you have something in front of you for support. You'll start with length. You'll start with spaciousness in your spine. And then you'll slowly begin to walk it forward, maintaining that length for as long as you can. When you find yourself at that point, when you find yourself at that edge where you feel like you can't maintain the length anymore, you grab your block. You might even grab two. Use that to support yourself as you lay your upper body down. And that might not necessarily mean that you move very far forward, and that's fine. That also might not necessarily mean that you go to the fullest expression of the shape, to the fullest extent of your flexibility. Because we spend such a long time in these shapes and in these poses, take your time to kind of ease yourself into them. Don't start out at 100%. As one of my dear friends and teachers, Seisha O'Connor, would say, start at like 70% of what you think that you can do, of where you think you can go here. And note that gravity combined with your continued choice to let go and release and relax will bring you deeper into the pose. We'll stay here for a few breaths. You'll continue to scan your body to make sure there's nothing that's still clenched up, there's nothing that's still tight and trying to maintain control. That instead you choose to let the musculature of your body release. You choose to let yourself soften. With each breath in, you notice the spaciousness in your back body, the extra bit of space between every single vertebra in your spine that's created. With every breath out, you allow yourself to relax just a little bit more. With each breath in, you work to find length, you work to find space. With each breath out, you'll naturally relax into it a little bit more. You'll take a few more breaths here. stay where you are, but begin to deepen your breath. Let the palms of your hands press down on the ground in front of you and slowly start to walk yourself back up. Once you're upright, you'll use your hands to catch hold of the backs of your knees, and using the strength of your arms, you'll lift your knees up, putting a bend into them until the soles of your feet find the ground in front of you. Let your hands find the ground back behind you now, and very gently windshield wiper your knees to the right and to the left. From here, you'll turn yourself on your mat 90 degrees, so you're back the long way on your mat. You make sure that you have your block or your pillows nearby. Grab onto the backs of your thighs, and one vertebra at a time, round yourself all the way down onto your back. Good. So from here, we'll make our way into our final resting shape. So I do recommend, especially if you have any sensitivity in your lower back, that you slide a pillow underneath your knees, just because it helps the lower back release a little bit more. And then another pillow underneath the back of your head, because ideally here we want the forehead to rest just slightly higher than the level of the chin. And finally, because our bodies will lose heat as we begin to relax and unwind, even if you're feeling really warm right now, your body will lose heat as you relax. I'm going to recommend that you cover yourself with a blanket. This is always Chris's favorite part of these live stream classes. I get to tuck him in. So be very meticulous with tucking yourself in. Make sure that every single toe is tucked, that there are no creases or folds in the blanket that are letting cold air in, that you're really fully covered. And as you start to settle in, you have some options for where your arms, for where your hands can land. So you can either let the palms of your hands face up beside you like a traditional Shavasana. You can also take one hand to your belly, one hand to your chest. Just make sure that if you are putting your hands on your belly and your chest, that they stay on their own respective sides. So right hand is on the right side, left hand is on the left side. And there's a very important reason why. We'll get to that in a moment. But in this Shavasana, in our final resting shape today, we're going to be moving through a very, very brief, a very limited version of a Yoga Nidra practice. If you've never done Yoga Nidra before, Nidra is the Sanskrit word for sleep. So in this practice, we're teaching our bodies how to sleep while our minds remain alert and focused. And that brings us into the hypnagogic state between being asleep and being awake, where we have greater access to alpha and theta brainwave prominences. Alpha and theta brainwave prominences, very similar to when we're sleeping at night, are also where the subconscious and unconscious mind live, which makes this a very powerful practice and deeply relaxing, but also in releasing any old stuck memories or emotions that might have been stored there. So as you settle in, you'll let the weight of your eyelids hang heavy over your eyes. And know that if you do fall asleep, that's very normal. Typically, the only thing our brains have to associate with being horizontal and being relaxed is actually sleeping at night. So while you might fall asleep, and that's okay, you'll hold the intention to stay awake. And if it's helpful, you can silently and internally think to yourself, I am awake. I am awake. I am awake. Now you'll listen to the sounds you hear in the room around you. The sound of the music, the sound of my voice, the sound of electricity or heat moving through the building that you're in. You might hear the sound of a car driving by or the sound of a neighbor moving around. But rather than attaching your mind onto any sound in particular, you'll keep it moving from sound to sound to sound. You welcome all of it in as a part of your practice this evening. And in the same way, you'll turn your awareness inward and listen for the sounds you hear within the container of your own body. So you listen for the sound of a breath in, the sound of a breath out, the sound of your heartbeat, maybe the sound of ringing in your ears. You listen for any other internal sounds. And next, we'll move through a rotation of consciousness where I'll call out different parts of the body and you'll simply notice what you feel there. If you happen to drift off into sleep, try not to make up what you miss when you do wake up again. Just come back to following the sound of my voice whenever you remember. You'll start by feeling both of your thumbs simultaneously. Notice what sensation you feel there. And that could be heat or tingling. You might feel pulsation or numbness in your thumbs. Without moving them, without changing them, simply notice what you feel there. And now notice what you feel in your index fingers, in your middle fingers, ring fingers. Feel your pinky fingers. Feel the palms of both of your hands. Feel the backs of both of your hands. Feel both of your wrists simultaneously. Both of your forearms. Both elbows. Both upper arms. Move your awareness through both of your shoulders. Feel both of your armpits. Both sides of your torso. Move your awareness through both of your hips. Feel the tops of both thighs, both knees, both shins. Feel both of your ankles, the tops of both feet, and all 10 of your toes. Feel all 10 of your toes together. Now move your awareness to the soles of both of your feet. Feel both of your heels, both of your calves. Feel the backs of both of your knees, the backs of both thighs, the entire back of your pelvis, your lower back, middle back, and upper back. Feel the back of your neck and the back of your head. Move your awareness through the crown of your head and feel both sides of your head. Feel your forehead, both eyebrows. Feel the space between both of your eyebrows. Feel both of your eyelids, both of your eyes. Move your awareness through both of your cheeks and feel both of your nostrils. Feel your top lip, your bottom lip, your jaw, and the entire lower part of your face. Move your awareness through your neck. Feel both sides of your chest, both sides of your rib cage, and your belly. And now move your awareness inside of your body and feel the capacity of both of your lungs. And as you sense each inhalation and each exhalation, you'll begin to count each cycle of breath backwards, beginning with the number 11. So it'll be 11 inhale, 11 exhale, and so on. If you lose count, go back and start over again at the number 11. Let go of your count wherever you are. And envision both of your lungs glowing with this white, radiant light. And as you hold your attention there, you'll simultaneously bring your awareness back into your body and notice the entire overarching sensation you feel inside your body. You'll slowly begin to deepen your breath, keeping your awareness focused there at the lungs, to that glowing white light, and simultaneously feeling your body start to move and stir as you wake yourself back up again. Wiggling your fingers, wiggling your toes. Maybe rolling your head from side to side as you wake your body back up again. You'll slowly gather your knees into your chest, giving them a squeeze. Roll over onto whichever side you'd like. Find a fetal position. Using the strength of your arms and the pressure down of your hands, you'll slowly ease yourself up to sit. The palms of your hands will come to touch at the center of your chest. You'll release your chin down in gratitude for your effort, in gratitude for your health, for your safety, and your ability to even come to the mat and move through a practice like this. Namaste.